Peace, gratitude, and highest heart love. Welcome to the YouTube live book reading of Animal Speak. Learn the language of the animals, the spiritual and magical powers of creatures great and small. I'm your moderator and narrator, Uriel. We are in the fifth chapter now. It's a very powerful chapter. Animals Speak by Ted Andrews, great master himself. So, welcome all, welcome YouTube, highest heart love. We pick up at page 57. And chapter 5 of Animals Speak by Ted Andrews. Here we go. Welcome. Chapter 5, Augury and the Meaning of Landscapes. As mentioned in the previous chapter, one of the ways in which you can come to understand nature and what she says to you through animals is by examining the symbolism of the habitats. The landscape, the habitat, the countryside in which animals are observed and experienced can add much to your understanding of the role they will play in your life as totems. Keep in mind that the inner spiritual forces often unfold as forms within nature. This means then that a mountain crest has much greater significance than just being the top of a big hill. Different worlds, different landscapes, reflect different states of being. We can discover much about our own state of being by orienting ourselves to the landscapes within our life. Many societies recognize the importance of landscape and spatial shapes and forms. They saw them as dynamic symbols. We can discover much about our own life situation by orienting ourselves to our landscape and the life within it. To do this appropriately, we must consider the predominant elements and character of the whole, natural and artificial, i.e., the trees, flowers, ground, etc. The spatial symbolism, the form or pattern of the terrain, soft, hard, broken, sloped, etc. The relationship of a specific area to the whole region, the general cyclic pattern, seasonal, yearly, etc. The predominant colors, the predominant wildlife. Peace, everyone. Welcome to the YouTube live book reading of Animals Speak. I'm your moderator and narrator, Uriel. We're at page 58 now, the top. These are just some of the basic characteristics to consider. Thank you guys for the likes and subs. Thank you so much. In the context of this book, we do not have the means to explore all of these aspects intricately with all their symbolic implications. We will try to give you an overview that you can begin to build upon for yourself. In the East, India, and Tibet particularly, the use of geometric shapes is called yantra or geomancy. A study of the symbolism of geometric shapes will yield much fruit in regard to the shapes within your own environment, be it the shape of a room, a yard, or a park. Although geomancy is often considered divination in Western traditions, it has a much wider history and application to environments. In China, Feng Shui is art that uses ancient wisdom to assist in arranging furniture and buildings to achieve the greatest harmony with nature. This Chinese practice is based on principles of design, ecology, mysticism, and architecture. For all the mystery that surrounds it, Feng Shui evolved from the simple observations that people are affected for good or ill by surroundings. Mia Mia, Bismillah. Thank you. The Chinese, oh, the Chinese, as with many societies, saw a dynamic link between landscapes and humans. They believed that nature reacts to every change and that reaction resounds within the life of the human. Feng Shui is a language of symbols associated with landscapes, rural, city, towns, and even in the rooms of a home. To the Feng Shui person, the shape of the landscape could leave an imprint upon an individual's life, affecting the character or the prosperity. It can be read and interpreted in very significant ways that need to be considered if we are to become fluent in speaking and understanding the language of nature. In Feng Shui, the environment takes on a symbolic quality. Mountains could be watchdogs or dragons. Rivers could be serpents, and hills could be barriers. Trees could reflect longevity and protection, and flat, riverless plains are often considered devoid of energy. Looking at the symbolic qualities of the landscape in conjunction to the animal totems can reveal much more information. This process can be applied in both rural and city environments. In the city, high buildings replace mountains, and roads replace rivers. The size, the shape, and the colors of buildings and skyscrapers affect the natural flow of energy and reflect much about what kind of energy will manifest in your life. The directions of roads and the angles can help define this as well. Behind my home is a slight hill. At the top of the hill is a line of apartment buildings that are like the vertebrae of a dragon. Separating the apartments from my home on this hill was thick foliage and trees of rich green, which would indicate to a traditional feng shui person that this is a spot of high energy. It is a spot where a variety of animals gather: raccoons, opossum, crows, woodpeckers, owls, and a variety of other birds and small mammals. Unfortunately, this past year, the city demanded that the apartment owners clear out the trees and foliage. Though they gutted the area, it took little more than a month before it was green and growing wild again. In spite of their efforts to seed it with plant life that could be more easily controlled, even new trees were stretching upward, all attesting to the positive flow of power in this area. It simply reinforced the impression that the dragon my home is nestled against is both very powerful and very beneficent. Symbology of the landscape. By examining the shapes and contours of your environment and the environment of your totems, you will uncover so much more about yourself and the role your totem has within your life. Examine the landscape in which you encounter and observe animals in the wild. Try to determine some of its symbolic qualities as well. This will help you to understand the significance of the wildlife you encounter that is endemic to that area. To do this effectively, you must learn to use strong imagination, common sense, along with both psychic and practical knowledge. The following list will help you in this process. The city environment. In modern society, most people find themselves living within a city environment. This will not prevent you from learning to read nature and to develop animal speak. Cities do, of course, have their own unique lessons. Cities often contain many lessons associated with community and learning to live with variety, flexibility, and adaptability. Examine the variety of people, conditions, and such within your environment. Examine the shape of your city. What does its shape reflect? Does the main city building government offices face east, west, north, or south? Does the main city building government remember that directions are symbolic of qualities? Does your home in the city face the east, west, north, or south? What is the symbolic shape of your house or yard? To the feng shui person or one skilled at reading landscapes, rectangular or square shapes are often considered best. They reflect balance. What do the street patterns closest to you seem to reflect? A backyard higher than the front is often considered more auspicious. Are there plant life or trees flourishing near your home? This reflects healthy energy. Remember that cities and homes have their own metabolism. Those living within them will take on many of the same characteristics of their home, their yard, their neighborhood, and their city. They will embody and reflect the qualities of these landscapes. Cities also have their own indigenous wildlife. Those animals that survive and live in the city are very adaptable. Be careful about making biased judgments about city animals. Even the rat can have wonderful and symbolic characteristics. In Chinese astrology, the rat possesses characteristics that range from humorous to meticulous and often change directions. As with any animals, city animals should be examined for all of their characteristics. Welcome all, welcome. Hi, it's Heart Love. Welcome to the YouTube live book reading of Animal Speak. We are now in chapter 5 at the top of page 60. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Forests, trees, and plants. Forest, trees, and plants. Forests have a very ancient symbolism about them. This symbolism is often complex, but always connected to the feminine forces within a universe, creation, and birth. The kind of forest, its thickness, and predominant tree and plant growth will provide insight. Forests are places where vegetation and animals thrive, free to the controls of society and culture. It is hard to find forests that are not touched by humans' culture in some way. But it is always a good point to make occasional trips to the forested lands. It is freeing to our own consciousness. Forests are symbols of the unconscious. They reflect the untapped primal forces to which we do have access. Individuals who have a terror of forests may find that they are really afraid of freedom, their own creative forces, or the perils of loosening the unconscious. The rules of life in the forest are very different and alien, especially to a city dweller. The lessons of predator and prey are magnified to a greater and purer degree. The forest, though, is a place where our own creative force can come alive and thrive without the limitations or restrictions of society and other people in our life. Gardens and plants. We're at the middle of page 60. Hi, it's Heart Love. Welcome, YouTube. Thank you guys for reading books with us. Gardens and plants. For the city dweller, gardens and plants are essential to maintaining contact with nature in some degree. They are a symbolic reminder of growth, a reflection of nature in miniature. A garden is a point where nature is controlled and subdued. It is nature enclosed. It is also a symbol of the feminine energies, the ability to create and nurture life. The kind of garden you maintain, vegetable, herbal, etc., and the kind of animal life that visits it can be very insightful. It can often reflect how well you are consciously using your innate creative energies and abilities. As your garden grows and produces, you will see movement and growth in corresponding areas of your life. If you house an indoor garden, at some point you may wish to transplant it outdoors so it can grow free and uninhibited. It can also be a means of inviting animals' contact. This will strengthen your connection with nature and animals. Caring for your garden is a means of symbolically saying you are open to nature and what it has to offer. It is an outer reflection of your willingness to commune with nature. Inevitably, someone will say, I can't make anything grow. Every time I plant something, it dies. Death is a part of nature and should not discourage you. It may also reflect that you are trying too hard or attempting to grow something of which you are not yet capable. Just like the development of anything beneficial, it requires time. Trying to develop immediate communion with nature or assuming you will pick up augury or an animal speak quickly and easily is what creates superstition and disappointment. Remember that seeds need time to germinate and to take root. But also remember that as you work to align with any aspect of nature, you open the doors to align with it as well. House and home. Your house and the animals found within and around it can tell you much about your life. Do you have pets? What are their basic qualities and characteristics? What kind of relationship do you have with them? It is amazing how many irresponsible pet owners exist in the world. If you can't work responsibly with a domesticated animal, you will have even less success with the wild. What kinds of birds and animals do you most often see around your house? Your home reflects and affects you as well. Traditionally, it is the place of wisdom, and it often reflects the human body and the thought process. What rooms do you spend the most time in? What are the shapes of the rooms? What are the conditions of those rooms? Neat, messy, dirty, clean, warm, comfortable. Apartments and homes have some of the greatest impacts upon city dwellers. It should be a place in which you are comfortable and safe. The more at ease and safe you feel, the more animal life will feel safe and comfortable coming around. What feeling do you get when you step through your front door? When you step out into your yard, what do you primarily feel? Your home or house and the animals around it will tell you much. If you are looking to move, it is a good idea to look at the birds and the animals that seem to gather in that environment. Where the animals appear can also reflect much. If you present or that if they are most abundant and frequent in the front yard, this may reflect the front you present, or that part of you which is open to the public or predominant in the front of your mind. If the animals gather most in the back, they are reflect of your private aspects, that which you have kept hidden, the inner consciousness, every aspect of the home. Yeah, that is so important. In the front or in the back. I remember reading that before. If the animals gather most in the back, they may reflect your private aspects, that which you have kept hidden, the inner consciousness, every aspect of the home, interior and exterior, can provide clues to understanding what nature is saying to you. For example, if squirrels seem to gather or be seen most often in the front of your home, it may reflect that you appear to everyone to be a very busy person, working, gathering, and staying active. If they are seen most often in the back, it may reflect that you are privately gathering a working on many busy things that most people do not see. Remember that we are always looking for relationships. Marshland. Marshland. Marshland has a wide variety of animal and plant life. It is an environment in which many waterfowl will gather. As we will see in part two, waterfowl reflect the ability to move beyond the emotional or passionate stages of life. They can be symbols of bringing fresh air into our emotional life. Marshes are also areas of decomposition. They are combinations of water and earth in a passive form. Decomposition is part of the transitional process. The tearing or breaking down of the old is necessary before the new can be built. It can reflect the alchemical process active within your life, especially if your totem is one which resides or is discovered in marshland. In the tales of King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table, Sir Gawain is one who would finally achieve his quest for the Holy Grail. Part of his journey and testing occurred in marsh landscapes. Those who have a totem from marshlands would do well to read the story of Gawain, Meadows, and Valleys. Meadows and valleys. Meadows are areas of abundant animal life and vegetation. They are usually near a stream or river, so it is good to examine the symbolism of rivers as well as meadows. The water source usually nourishes the meadow. A traditional meadow has some trees, but most importantly, it has waves of grass and wildflowers, lending the meadow a soft appearance. The soil is usually very fertile and well nourished, and the totems of this landscape can help show you how to add fertility and nourishment to your own life. They may also reveal places where it is lacking. Be sure to examine the predominant colors, flowers, and the overall shape of the meadow. Remember that meadows are places of silent and soft growth. Valleys are often equated with meadows, but there is a difference. A valley is a more of a low-lying area. It is one of great fertility, and it is often contrasted with deserts, the place of purification. Valleys are long symbols of new life, new fertility, and a neutral zone beneficial for developing creativity. The totems associated with this environment will help you in that development. In legend and lore, valleys were often the home of priests and priestesses of the community. And we'll pause. Well, should we finish out? Okay, okay. Welcome for reading Animals Speak with Us, guys, by Ted Andrews. Mountains. We're at the bottom of page 62 in chapter 5, Augury and the Meaning of Landscapes. So, we're in the landscape of mountains. Thank you guys for the likes and subs. Mountains often reflect power and a loftiness of spirit. Those animals found around or indigenous to them will reveal ways to discover your own spiritual power. Mountains have height and a verticality which is traditionally masculine in its symbolism. This mass and shape reflects the sexual aspects of masculinity along with outward expressions or assertiveness. To the Chinese, mountains were symbolic of greatness and generosity. Mountain ranges often took the symbolism of dragons. Peace, peace, Muhammad. Thank you so much. Mia Mia. Salam. Mountains can reflect the alchemical process active within your life. The animal totems that you encounter in such environments will reveal the means by which you can best work with process to your own personal circumstances. Many myths speak of mountains which are hollow inside, serving much the same function as an oven, baking and tempering the spirit of those who enter. The hollowness and the interior have been described as the land of the dead and the home of the fairies. Again, it reflects that the totems associated with it are those which will open new dimensions to us. The mountain reminds us of the spiritual attainment that is ours as we overcome our obstacles. The height of many mountains gives rise to thoughts of them being a world access, linking heaven and earth. Castles were often built upon mountains, providing a point where humans could commune with the divine or could draw the heavenly powers out of the sky and into manifestation on earth. Mountains are symbols for higher meditation, spiritual elevation, and communion with the blessed spirits. Muddy terrain. Terrain predominantly comprised of mud or animals encountered at times when mud is prevalent after rains, etc., are very significant. Mud is the union of earth and water. This combination reflects transition and transformation. Mud is the substance of birth. It is the medium for the emergence of matter, your life. The animal totem will help you to define that area. Oh, the land this landscape reflects that there is a new stimulation occurring in some area of your life. The animal totem will help you to define that area. Mud can also be a reminder to recharge and strengthen our connection to primal earth. The totem that appears may provide the clues to how best to accomplish this. Mud usually reflects the opportunity for new germination within your life. On the other hand, excessive amounts of mud or animals stuck in mud can warn of the same thing. Are you bogged down in a particular area of your life? Are your emotions bogging you down? Are you stuck in old emotions and unwilling to grow or move on? Ocean, seas, and rivers. We're at the middle of page 63 for those reading along. Thank you so much for reading with us. Ocean, seas, and rivers. Water is always significant. It is the primal life source. Many myths and scriptures speak of how all life sprang from the seas. The ocean is a symbol of womb, mother, and woman. The totems associated with it are tied to those same symbolic qualities. Ocean and water in general is a dynamic force. It is constantly in transition and it can reflect the same within your life. The totems of it can reveal how best to work with those transitions. The ocean is also the sum total of possibilities. The ocean And great seas are symbols of the subconscious mind and even the unconscious mind. Totems tied to them can help us to awaken the deeper levels of the mind. Water reflects our spiritual life and our emotions. The quality and activity of the water in seas, oceans, and rivers will reveal much about these aspects of ourselves. Rivers have an ancient symbolic connection to animal life, creation, and the flow of time. Rivers are places where animals will gather to drink. The movement of the river is often used as a metaphor for the passing of time. Totems linked to or encountered by rivers may often help you in working with your past and your future. Because rivers flow, they reflect a continual evolution. The quality of the river water, the speed of its movement, and the animal totem associated with it will help you to define the areas of your life undergoing evolution and how to work with that process most effectively. The last page, page 64 of chapter 5, is the last page of chapter 5. Rocky terrain. Thank you guys for reading with us and being here. Happy Monday. Rocky terrain. Closing out chapter 5 at the top of page 64. Welcome. Rocky terrain can reflect many possibilities, all colored by the totem and its activity within that area. Rocks have been depicted in story and myth as obstacles that need to be climbed over. They are often symbols for the true self. Of course, different rocks and stones have different meanings, each with its own unique qualities. Rocky terrains, especially high upon mountains, were often considered the dwelling place of gods and goddesses because they were so inaccessible. On the other hand, though, they also can reflect solidness and stability and sturdiness. They can be a point from which we can gain a new perspective. Many people can't resist standing or climbing rocks to gain a view of the surrounding terrain. In learning animal speak, we begin by looking at the animals. But we do not stop there. If we truly want to understand how the divine is expressing itself to us through nature, we should also examine the environment in which the totem is discovered, along with its natural habitat, if it is different from where it was encountered. In the course of our life, in the course of your life, you will encounter a range of habitats, climates, and animals. All of these will be saying something to you. Asking yourself the following questions will help you to developing your ability to understand what nature is telling you through the animal world. It will help you develop animal speak into a true gift of augury. What are the characteristics and qualities of the animal totem? Is it migratory or endemic to that area? You want to write these questions down. These are questions to ask yourself for going through the exercises and building up your augury. What is its natural habitat? And what does that indicate? What is the symbolic nature of the habitat in which you encounter your totem? What is the climatic condition in which it appeared? Where does it usually season? And last but not least, what is this environment and the animal saying to you about you in your life? And that concludes chapter 5, Augury and the Meaning of Landscapes. We now are getting ready to go into part 2. Concluded chapter 5. Thank you for reading. Animals speak with us. Learn the language of animals. The spiritual and magical power of creatures, great and small. I'm your moderator and narrator, Uriel Riley. We will pick back up with part 2, Winged Enchantment. And I will see you soon when we reconvene with chapter 6, Bird Totems and the Initiation of Air. Thank you guys for the love. Thank you so much for reading Animals Speak by Ted Andrews, the great master with us. We're shaking it up in the world. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya. Love to all the mothers and fathers. Love to the parents. Thank you so much. Live in Cali. It's hard love. Let me make you a moderator before you leave. Thank you so much. Highest heart love. Much honor. Thank you so much for your support. Highest heart love and honor. I want y'all to have a wonderful day. Happy Monday. We will be back soon. Peace, family. Highest heart love. Thank you for reading with us. Well, I'll see you soon, okay? Peace. I hope you get that love. Thank you. Thank you for your support.